Welcome to the Tektite electric vehicle build tutorial. Before you start building, first check the description because there may have been changes to the kit that aren't reflected in this tutorial. Now let's start building. First, let's install the motors. You'll notice these motors have one side with text printed on them and another side without. We're going to keep the text facing down. So this is the motor mounting block. Make sure to take the flat side, the one with the holes in it, and have that line up with the text of the motor facing down. Next, you'll notice that there's these countersink holes that have like a cone shape. Make sure to have those facing away from the motor. So the motor will go in like this. Now take out your screws. And you have to use these tiny M1.6 screws that are countersunk. So you'll notice they have a cone shape for the head. And you use these to face mount the motor. So use an 1.3 millimeter hex bit to screw in the motor. And do the same with the other motor. You'll notice there are two bevel gears included in the kit. One has a bigger hole and one has a smaller hole. So we're going to use the smaller hole ones for the motors. So grab the smaller hole one, grab a 1.5 millimeter hex key, grab a grub screw and put it on. These are what grub screws look like. And put that into the grub screw hole. Like so. Now, add the bevel gear to the motor's shaft and tighten it. Do the same with the other gear. And now you should notice that if you've properly got the set screw aligned with the flat part of the shaft, it should very firmly be attached to the motor. Now let's add the motor onto the frame. Take the frame, put the motor, line it up with these two holes, and use a 2 millimeter hex key with these regular button head and 3x6 screws, and screw on the motor mount. So now you'll notice the motors are mounted. Now let's prepare the wheels. Grab one of the bevel gears with a bigger hole, insert the standoff until it's flush with the other side, like this, and then put in one of these silver M3x4, and this should essentially screw into the standoff and hold it in place. Use an H2.5 bit to tighten it. Note that this is a metal on metal screw joint, so you're gonna want to add Loctite. So this is blue Loctite, and essentially when these metal on metal contacts are subjected to vibration, the screws will loosen themselves out or back out over time. So if you add this Loctite and dip the tip of the screw in it, that'll make sure that these don't loosen over time. The same applies for the face mounting screws and these grub screws on the bevels because these are all metal on metal contacts. Now we'll add the bearing. Grab one of these tiny 682ZZ bearings. Use an M2x6 screw, which looks like this. You'll notice it's thinner than the M3 screws. Put the M2x6 screw through the hole of the bearing and then put it onto the standoff. This is another metal on metal contact that needs Loctite. So now you'll notice that this bearing is very securely fastened onto this bevel gear assembly. Insert that into a wheel hub and then grab a silicone tire and stretch it around the hub. So it'll look like this. Grab a magnet and put it onto the hub. And this is a wheel assembly. Do the same for the other side. Standoff, bevel gear, silver M3 screw, H2.5 bit, bearing, M2 screw, and put it into the standoff. Put it into the hub. Add the tire. Add the magnet. And you've got the second wheel hub. Now, grab the central frame piece. Line it up here. Insert 2 screws from the bottom. Next, grab an M2 screw and insert it into this hole. Now, insert the wheel. Do the same for the other side. Now, add the bearings to these pieces. Grab an encoder. You'll notice they have these flip-lock slim connectors. Open it up. Now it's open. grab a flexible cable. You'll notice it has a blue side and a metal side. Insert the metal side facing down. And close the lock. Now you'll notice this doesn't come out. Next, insert the encoder into one of the wheel braces with the Tektite logo facing outwards. Add one of these piece braces from the inside and use M2 screws to secure it. Add in the second screw. Now you have an encoder assembly. Do the same for the other side. And now you have both encoder assemblies. This encoder assembly goes on this side. Put it onto the hub and secure it with 2 screws from the bottom. Do the same for the other side. Now let's put in the ball caster. Take the ball caster holder, put in the ball, add it under the frame, and tighten it on using a regular screw. Next, let's realign these bevels. You'll notice that all of these bevels do mesh. They aren't meshing optimally. So, loosen the grub screw, align the bevels, and tighten the grub screw. And now, they're perfectly lined up. Now let's add the electronics. First, connect the PCB to the motors. Now let's add the PCB onto the spacers. So for each hole in the PCB, add a screw, add a spacer, set the PCB down onto the screws. Finally, loosely tighten the nuts on top just to stop the screws from falling out. For the front 2 screws, screw downwards into the measuring point instead. So, screw into this. These are nylon lock nuts. Normally, since this is a metal on metal contact, you need to add Loctite to stop it from backing out. However, these screws have little nylon bits at the end that essentially dig into the teeth of the screw and stop it from backing out. So this has the advantage of not needing Loctite, but unfortunately it has the disadvantage that you need to use a wrench, an M3 wrench, or you need to use needle nose pliers to hold on to the nut while you're tightening. We can add the battery holder for the other side. Simply add it and add these 2 screws in. Now, let's install the cables. So the PCB comes with these slide lock flexible connectors. Now, it has these little covers on top. These might have fallen off in shipping, but if they haven't, take them off now. This is how it should look with the covers removed. Pry up this slide lock connector. You'll notice that this one is up and this one isn't. You can see how it's raised a little. Now, take the flexible cable, wrap it around, and insert it such that the shiny metal part is facing the motors. So the blue side is facing this way. There's a little resistance to it going in, but once you get it in, you can push this down, and you'll notice it doesn't come out now. Do the same for the other side. Now I've pried it up. Insert the cable with the metal side facing towards the motors, and push the connector down. Now they're both locked firmly in place. I have a 6 battery pack. Put the wire through this hole and then slide it in. And now the battery is held in. To safely remove the batteries, you can simply just slide it back out. Next, let's do some cable management. I like to tape these cables onto here so that they are firmly held and the vehicle isn't any extra width. Add the tape. And now you've one cable secured. And now the cables are neat and managed. You can see that it's working by plugging it in, and the rainbow light shows you that it's working. When you press the green button, you can see both the wheels spin. Which means you're done building. Now let's talk about programming. To program the electric vehicle, first connect it to Arduino IDE. To do this, connect it via USB-C. Allow it to connect. Next, install the RP2350 board library. This is by Raspberry Pi. Now, under Tools, Board, select Raspberry Pi Pico 2. Next, select the port, which will show up as a Raspberry Pi Pico. Now that you've connected to the board, install the Tektite Rotiv controller library. Once you've done this, you can open up, under File, Examples, the Rotiv empty example. This initializes a controller. Now we can add some code. For example, this will write to the LED and press the upload button. It's making a pink color, just like the code has it. Now I've added a print statement to the code. To see the printing, go into Tools, Serial Monitor, and you can see it's constantly printing Hello World. The board is designed to work with the battery plugged in. For example, if I press the go button right now, nothing happens. But if I plug in the battery, now when I press go, you can see it moves the motors. You'll notice that even while the battery is plugged in, it's still able to print, so you can keep both simultaneously. Now let's talk about aiming. You'll notice there's this hole on the front and this slit in the back. So essentially to aim, first, line up the measuring point with the start point. Next, look through the hole. And you need to look through the slit at the very end. Now, if you're off to the side like this, you'll notice that the slit isn't centered within the hole. So make sure the slit is centered within your vision and then look through at the very end. Now, I'm going to aim at this red Gatorade bottle I placed. You can see that once I turn it, the red Gatorade bottle is in the center and the slit is within the center of the camera's vision. That means the vehicle is now straight. This is just using sights, which work okay, but I think this is a really easy way you can improve the performance of this vehicle by putting in a better method of aiming. You've now assembled the Tektite electric vehicle. Good luck.